It was the bitter chill of a January morning in 1897 when I felt a firm tug at my shoulder. Holmes stood beside me, the dim light of a candle casting deep shadows across his eager face. "Come quickly, Watson," he said, his voice alive with urgency. "No time for questions. Dress and follow me." Within minutes, we were bundled into a cab, rattling through London's fog-laden streets. The city was silent, only the occasional figure of a workman emerging from the shadows. We arrived at Charing Cross Station, where, after some hot tea, we caught the early train heading southeast into Kent. Holmes handed me a note as the train began to move. Abbey Manor, Marsham, Kent. 3:30 a.m. Dear Mr. Holmes, I urgently request your assistance in a most peculiar matter. The circumstances suggest foul play, and I have preserved the scene untouched except for attending to the lady involved. Please hurry. Yours, Inspector Stanley Hopkins. Hopkins has summoned me 7 times before, and he's never been wrong yet, Holmes muttered. This one smells of murder. Do you believe Sir Eustace is dead? Most likely. Hopkins doesn't call unless it's serious and violent. As the countryside unfolded around us, we finally arrived at a modest station where a carriage awaited. A brief ride through narrow lanes brought us to a stately home, Abbey Manor, its age visible in ivy-covered walls and Palladian columns, though one wing was clearly modern. Inspector Hopkins met us at the door, his face grey. "I'm grateful you came, Mr. Holmes." "Dr. Watson, honestly, I might not have summoned you if the lady hadn't seemed so disturbed. But now that she's coherent, her account is so clear, I wonder if your services are still needed." "You suspect a burglary?" Holmes asked. "Indeed. Remember the Randall gang? The father and his 2 sons? I believe they struck again. Sir Eustace Brackenstall is dead. Bludgeoned with a poker in his own dining room. Lady Brackenstall, the widow, lay in the morning room tall, graceful, and unmistakably Australian by her speech. Though her beauty was obvious, a terrible bruise above one eye told of her trauma. Beside her stood a stern maid, Theresa Wright, tending her wounds. Lady Brackenstall told her story with quiet strength. Married for just a year, she admitted her union had not been a happy one. Sir Eustace was a violent drunk, prone to rages. She recounted the previous night's events. After reading late, she made her usual round to check the house. Upon entering the dining room, she discovered the window open and was immediately seized by a broad-shouldered man. 2 others followed. She was struck unconscious. When she came to, she was tied tightly to a chair, a handkerchief over her mouth. Moments later, Sir Eustace burst into the room in his nightclothes, wielding a heavy cane. He attempted to fight the intruders, but was felled with a poker blow from the bearded man. The burglars then drank wine, collected silver, and fled. She screamed once free, and the maid rushed in. The police were summoned. Holmes listened quietly but observed everything, including two marks on the lady's arm. When asked, she dismissed them, claiming they were unrelated to the crime. Theresa, the maid, confirmed her mistress's account. She had seen 3 men outside the gate earlier but thought little of it. Holmes nodded politely, thanked them, and joined Hopkins in the dining room. The scene was grim. The baronet's body lay near the hearth, his face twisted in a final scowl, his head bloodied, and his nightshirt stained. The poker lay nearby, bent from the force of the blow. Holmes examined the broken bell rope, the wine bottle, and the 3 glasses still on the sideboard. Something about the glasses held his attention. "These glasses are odd," Holmes muttered. "One contains sediment, the others do not." Hopkins dismissed the concern, convinced of the Randall gang's involvement. Holmes seemed uninterested in pursuing it further and soon left with me. Yet on the train home, I noticed Holmes frowning. Suddenly, as we approached a suburban station, he leapt up. "Off the train, Watson. I cannot let this go. Something is wrong." Minutes later, we sat on a bench, Holmes pacing. "Watson, let's start again. Assume the lady and her maid are not telling the truth. But their account matches the scene. Yes, but consider, seasoned burglars don't strike so soon after a major theft. They don't enter at 11 p.m., strike a woman to silence her, murder a man in front of her, steal only a little silver, then drink wine before escaping. And who drinks and leaves the bottle two-thirds full? And the wine glasses. Exactly. 3 glasses, yet only one has sediment. If wine was poured straight from the bottle, all should show beeswing residue. It seems more likely 2 glasses were used, then the dregs poured into a third to create the illusion of 3 drinkers. A clever ruse but poorly executed. We returned to Abbey Manor. Holmes secured the dining room and spent hours combing over every detail. Then, climbing onto the mantelpiece, he inspected the severed bell rope. Cut clean, not frayed. He didn't pull it down, he cut it from here, he explained. To do so, he stood here, knee on this bracket. I couldn't reach it without aid, and I'm tall. Our mystery man must be at least 6'3". Next, Holmes pointed to blood on the seat of the chair. If the lady was seated during the murder, how did blood get underneath her? It didn't. She was placed there after the fact. The story was staged. We sought Theresa, the maid. Though cold at first, she warmed to Holmes' charm and confirmed her contempt for Sir Eustace. He was abusive toward his wife and herself. The marks on Lady Brackenstall's arm. From a hatpin attack, she admitted. The marriage had been a nightmare from the start. Holmes asked to see Lady Brackenstall again. "You've suffered greatly," he said gently. "But please, trust me. I know your story isn't true." The lady's eyes filled with tears. "I cannot. You must. I believe you are protecting someone." Holmes' voice softened. "I think you were never in danger from robbers. I believe your true story lies with a man of great strength and loyalty." Lady Brackenstall finally broke down. "You are right. The man you speak of is Captain Croker." She told the truth at last. Captain Croker, a strong and honorable seaman, had once loved her. But before they could marry, she was swept into Sir Eustace's world, his wealth and title. After months of torment, she reconnected with Croker. One night, he visited her privately. When Sir Eustace burst in and struck her, Croker responded with fatal force. Terrified, she and the maid arranged the scene to resemble a burglary. They hoped to protect the man who had saved her from a lifetime of abuse. Holmes stood in silence. "I understand," he said at last. "And I cannot see a villain in this room." Epilogue. The next day, Holmes met with Inspector Hopkins. Without naming names, he presented the evidence. Hopkins frowned. "I suppose you'll be handing me the murderer?" "No," said Holmes calmly. "You'll receive no help from me in this one. Sometimes justice and the law are not the same." Holmes never spoke of Abbey Manor again. But I know this: the case tested his mind and his heart.